Welcome back to Break Check. I'm Keith. You know me. I'm excited today to introduce Ryan Hoogheem. He's a driver here at Styer Transportation. Some of you may have met him on the road. He's been here about 7 years. A little bit about what Ryan does is he's done a little bit of the over-the-road regional stuff. He mostly works the Joliet freight. He has been known to head to the Mississippi market and the UP of Michigan. Outside of trucking, I hit this nail on the head. Ryan is a fan of music. He does like to listen to 93X. He's known to head to a concert or two in the before times. And on the weekends, Ryan isn't a stranger to the grill, of course. And so today I hope to leverage his ideas on cooking in the truck, building off of our last break check with Safety Director Kurt Saffel. We talked about his air fryer and some tips and tricks for eating on the road. And so now I'm very excited to talk to one of those guys who's, Monday through Friday types, who's in the truck. He's in a sleeper right now. It's Thursday morning here, and we're recording our break check. So I want to talk to Ryan. Ryan, welcome.
Morning.
I want to know from you, for your firsthand experiences, do you do a lot of meal prep?
It varies on the week. I know it helps when you have a wife that also likes to meal prep. So there'll be times where our Saturday afternoon will be me at the grill getting everything ready for the week.
So you'll grill your chicken, your meats, you'll grill a few different things and then add them to a meal during the week?
Right. You just cook up whatever you can and kind of package it individually. So that way, when that day comes or the mood hits you for that particular food, you just grab it and warm it up a little bit and you're good to go.
So along with the proteins, do you have any other essential items that you bring? Like I know those, I don't know if it's Uncle Ben's or whatever they call themselves now, but those rice packets where you don't have to boil water, you can just throw it in the microwave and it's ready. Do you use those?
Yeah, I use those. I know there's a really good chicken flavored one that they've got out there. And I know you just I don't think you just kind of crack the bag a little bit and throw it in the microwave. And like 90 seconds later, you got hot rice. And I think the one I use most, it's chicken flavored.
Okay.
So it's a good addition to chicken breast.
I know in preparing for this conversation and thinking about meal prepping, it's very much like trip planning. When you're planning ahead, you're going to find yourselves in a better situation than somebody who's taking advantage of convenience stores or something that's quick. Of course, you're probably going to pay more if you're not planning, right? Like you said, if you buy your bulk items in a Costco or somewhere and you save a little bit and then you grill on the weekend and prepare for the week. So it is like trip planning for you, right? You're planning your week and here's what I need to do.
Right. I mean, normally you kind of have an idea on what you're going to want or not want during the week. And, I don't necessarily go the bulk route. I will go the Aldi route just because it's good, it's cheap. And every now and then you get some really good deals on random stuff you won't expect to find.
What are challenges that you might see? I know before we hit record on this, we were talking a little bit about air fryer and wattage. Is that a challenge when you're cooking? How many appliances you can have and what's operating at a certain time?
Right. I mean, especially in the trucks with the inverters, you really don't want to use more than one appliance at a time. Just because I know I'm not positive on what the inverter wattage is. I think the air fryer tops out about 1800 watts. So if you're using the air fryer, I idle the truck while I do that. Otherwise, it's a pretty good strain on the APU.
So that's a good tip for drivers. The idling the truck helps keep the power level.
Well, it just keeps batteries at a consistent level on the truck, more so than the APU does for the usage.
It was 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago on Facebook. I saw you had a posting. You'd made a steak with some garlic bread in your tractor. Can you tell us that process and how you did that? How do you make a steak in your truck?
Well, the steak, I think it was a grass-fed ribeye I picked up at Aldi, and just kind of got the air fryer warmed up, and while that was warming up, you spray the steak with a little bit of olive oil spray, add some seasoning, which was also another good Aldi find, and then just threw it in the air fryer for probably about 7 minutes, flipped it about another 7 minutes, and the steak was ready.
Well, that's pretty quick. 15 minutes, cook a steak. What about the garlic bread?
Well, the garlic bread was just, I had been home the day before and gotten some Herberts and Gerberts. Well, I got some Herberts and Gerberts, so I got one of their loaves of the day old bread for I think $1. And I just kind of cut that into some sections, then cut it down the middle. Ideally, you would use butter and then add the garlic butter seasoning, but I didn't have butter, so I just used the olive oil spray, added the seasoning, and threw that in the air fryer for, I think, maybe 3 minutes. And it came out actually pretty decent for the first try at it.
Excellent. Well, I mean, I don't want to turn Break Check into a food show, but initially here, these are the challenges that drivers have week to week. Is what am I going to eat? Where am I going to eat? I mean, so it is relative to what we do, certainly, and I think engagement wise, a lot of people can relate to. We all have to eat, and so some are better cooks than others. And again, we talking off of Kurt Saffel and I's conversation last time. We do want to build off of the collective. If you've got a good idea, we want to know about it, and try in the safety messages Kurt sends weekly. He's been including a recipe, and or just some idea, a couple of tips and tricks. So again, I did get some feedback from a couple drivers off that last Break Check, and I'll probably share some of their thoughts here today. But I want to encourage anyone who's watching right now, go ahead. Don't be shy. Send us what you got. So Ryan, back to you. Tell me more about, what your routine is. Like, is it every week that you're doing something? Like you said, your wife likes it. So is it a routine? Is that what you're up to?
Pretty much. I know, I'm really only home for any given amount of time, on weekends. So we try to, we've been ordering groceries for probably the past 3 years or so before all the fun started. Otherwise you end up going to the store 3 hours later, you're finally getting home and you wasted half a day. But so by ordering, you kind of have to plan things out too. So you just do it that way. And then usually Saturday afternoon, you set an hour or two aside and you just get some good food prep in there when you need to. If you're short on time or have other things going on, that's why we have, the other ways to cook in the truck. So, you can do more than just microwave.
Tell me more about those other ways. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, obviously there's the air fryer, and then I've got another little cooker that plugs into the 12-volt outlet. Only warms up to 165. So as long as you can plan ahead, it's great. It'll do chicken perfectly. Other things where the done temperature is a little lower, you got to be a little cautious. Otherwise, you're going to get some overcooked food.
Do you have that hot logic handy to show our viewers here at home? I
do. It's nothing impressive. I mean, the basics of it is.
Yep.
So that's what it warms up on, just that little tray there, and all you use inside to cook with is good old Pyrex. So if you plan ahead, you can just put the stuff in this to start with, throw it in your fridge, probably let it warm up a little bit, and then throw it in there when you're probably 4 or 5 hours from when you want to eat.
Good stuff. If you didn't have a Pyrex, I'm sure you could grab some aluminum foil and line that in there and get something cooked.
Right. The key is you kind of want to have something, some type of lidded container like that. I mean, obviously you don't want to use plastic because that'll just melt. And tin foil, you could end up leaking some, but.
See, experience. This guy, I don't cook too much in the truck, so I'll lean on your experience on that. So that's the Hot Logic. And I think those are pretty affordable, right? 20, 30 bucks.
Honestly, I have no idea. I just happened to enter to win it in a Facebook group and happened to be the lucky one that won it.
I'll go on a limb and say they're probably 20 or 30 bucks. There's a few other things like that. The hot pot I saw was about $40. Most Styer, if not all Styer trucks, come with a mini fridge these days. That's one of those essentials. Using a blender. You ever use a blender in the truck?
I don't. I know there was a time I carried one, a small like smoothie size one in here, but I never used it, so I didn't need it taking up the space.
That was the thinking. If you're into smoothies, a blender can be, some frozen fruits and a banana, some yogurt. My wife loves those at home. Always wants a smoothie. What about an electric skillet, Ryan?
I've thought about it. I've never gotten one because I figure I've got enough other ways. Because like we know, I got the air fryer, the microwave, a toaster oven.
You only need so much.
Right.
So find what works for you and stick with it. I do know that, we talked about the Blackstone, which was a skillet type of a thing. The electric skillet, I mean, that's a throwback, but those are always very affordable. You see them every year at Christmas time for $19.99 at Walmart. I mean, that's a quick way to get a simple Blackstone or something like that on the road. So, portable stove, ever use one of those?
I have not. The closest I get to that is I haven't actually brought it with yet, but I've got a rather small charcoal grill.
What about a coffee pot?
I do have a coffee pot. If I didn't, it would be very long days.
And a thermos, right? I mean, if you make your coffee, you put it into a thermos, it'll stay, and then you can put that coffee machine away and then get on down the road, right?
I used to go that route, but I'll just have I'll do it so I have it spaced out, so I have just enough for one regular cup, and the rest will fit in my travel mug perfectly. And the travel cup I've got will actually, I could fill it now. It will still be warm by 3 this afternoon.
Cool. All right, so we've got a little bit on the meal prep. We talked a little bit about your process, and we mentioned the air fryer. I don't want to talk about air fryers all the time, but that's just to elaborate off of where we were in our last conversation with Kurt. It's like a small oven, and a convection oven. So it's going to circulate air. You can set the temperature settings, and of course it does have a basket to catch whatever grease falls from whatever you're cooking. But that's a very healthy way to eat. And I think when we're talking about truck drivers, and I know I'm 41, I know you and I are pretty close in age, but this is the time of our lives where we probably should be thinking about what choices we're making, right? Making
Right.
good choices. One of the drivers that called specifically mentioned that, and of course he sent me a picture of it must have been the Walmart impulse section right there by the checkout, and that area is going to make it very hard to make good choices. But there are other parts of the store where we can get those greens and eat healthy. So, what kind of choices do you make when you're thinking about your week and your day?
Well, obviously, you try to find the healthier snacks if possible. I know, like beef jerky is usually a pretty good one if you can afford the sodium. But I not the greatest one about healthy decisions outside of cooking versus fast food.
I hear you. Nobody's perfect. We're all a work in progress. I guess I'm trying to get at is just making good choices and thinking about, if you have, listen to this angel, listen to your better angel sometimes. The McDonald's food, the fast food, the convenience food is generally not going to be the healthiest food. So read those labels, I guess would be a tip of mine that came from a driver too. Look out for your carbs, your fats, your sugars.
Yep.
Think about your downtime as you're ending your day. If you're eating a bunch of bad food, that could impact your sleeping habits, right? That could impact your stress level or keep you up. So,
right. I mean, it's always easy to grab the fast food or the junk food, but if you do the meal prep or you plan out ahead, it becomes the routine and that much easier to do the healthy thing versus just what seems quick.
We mentioned Quick Trip last time. They do have a lot of healthy food.
They do. Quick Trip, that's a great one now that they sell the meats and everything, because you can still actually find those out on the road if you happen to forget or didn't have time to do the healthy plan.
We're always playing beat the clock, right, Ryan?
That is the name of the game. Beat the clock to hurry up and wait.
And while you're waiting, that's where some of these things come in.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with that statement.
Yeah, it's true. You get downstream and you park, and now you've got 11 hours, 14 hours, whatever you're off. And so now is your chance to cook something or be creative and put some things together. We talked last time about seasonings being important. What do you carry in your tractor? Do you have salt, pepper, ketchup?
Well, I don't ever use extra salt or like regular salt. I've got some garlic seasoning, some steak seasoning, garlic powder, trying to avoid the salts. So, I mean, garlic powder or onion powder are great ones versus the onion or garlic salt. And they tend to give a little more of the flavor. And then, like I say, the steak seasoning and, just a couple little odds and ends like that. Never been big on ketchup or mustard on anything ever.
Now, do you have them in a container, or do you have some sort of like Ziploc bag? How do you store your stuff?
I just kind of have a cabinet that I keep all my food stuff in, and I've got basically like a Rubbermaid bin up there, and then some of the other stuff I use more regularly fits kind of nicely between that and the door opening.
Where do you put your other appliances, like we mentioned, the air fryer? Is that tucked away under the bunk?
Most of those I have in the cabinet underneath the fridge.
Okay.
So with the exception of the TV, it's like the kitchen wall.
The kitchen in the truck, the pantry in the truck.
Right.
It is a home on the road, and most drivers will try to get things sorted the way they like it. And I guess for the viewers watching, if you've got any good tricks or tips on what you do to secure your spices, or what you're bringing or how you're configuring things, we'd like to learn from that too. So don't be shy, share anything you got. Ryan, do you have anything else to suggest for the rest of the driver group?
Not really. I think we've kind of covered food prep and planning. You just got to make it part of your trip plan, weekly plan, and it becomes routine, and you don't even have to think about it after a point.
I learned a long time ago in this business that, for drivers and probably for people in general, it's always easiest to do what you did yesterday. You don't, so if you do get into that routine, or you do find something that works well for you, stick to it. Chances are you can refine it and make it better, and get somewhere where you're really coasting. You're not even thinking about it. You just grill on Saturday, you have your groceries delivered, and then you got time to go to watch a Wild game or something.
Exactly. And it's not the easiest transition to make if you're used to doing a fast food or just grabbing and going. But, you put a little effort in and it goes a long ways.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining me on this. I know it's a little nerve-wracking to jump on a call and talk about, personal stuff and your experiences. So thanks for taking the lead and being our first driver on Brake Check. I hope to have more drivers. So if anyone else wants to play, just give me a note. We're open to anything. Doesn't have to be food related. I'd like to talk more about truck things and what you guys go through every week, but it's easy to talk about food. So like I said, we all have to do it. But whatever you can do in your tractor to prepare and plan ahead, much like trip planning, the more thought you put into it, probably the better served you'll be in the end. So, all right, Ryan, with that said, thanks again. We'll catch you guys on the next Brake Check. Thanks for watching.